for rumors that Venezuela holds like $60 billion of Bitcoin. That's really interesting. So, okay, there are many questions. I think Iran has been using Bitcoin to fund its regime. We should definitely be focused more on applications than blockchains. Like, we don't need another layer 1. We don't need another layer 2. We don't need infrastructure per se. We need apps, because if we can take out Bitcoin completely off the market and never sell it, that would be great.
Hello everyone. So welcome back to yet another wonderful episode of BeInCrypto Podcast. I'm your host Harsh Notaria, editorial standards lead at BeInCrypto. And today we have Nick Puckrin, who is CEO and co-founder of Coin Bureau, which is one of the largest crypto education platform with over 2.7 million YouTube subscribers. Thank you, Nick, for joining us in today's episode.
My pleasure being here, and thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah. So, Nick, I would want to start the episode by getting your perspective from running a crypto media business, right? What's happening with crypto? Because see, the search trends reached the all-time high in 2021, and then 2024 halving happened, and 25 happened. We never got back to those particular level. I mean, we got lots of mainstream attention. We got BlackRock ETF. We got US president openly talking about Bitcoin and crypto, yet why no one wants to search about crypto, no one wants to read about crypto?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a few points there. Firstly, I think that many people point to the the Google search trends and search traffic as one of the main factors to look at in terms of crypto search. And I will caveat that could be slightly skewed, because I think the way people are getting information these days is way more than just Google search right now. I mean, they use AI tools, right? They use ChatGPT, they use other forms of search. It doesn't necessarily capture the full breadth of searching for crypto. Having said that, I still agree that it's down a lot in terms of interest from retail for cryptocurrency, and there's many factors at play. I think one of the biggest factors that people have been pointing to has just been that there is a lot of other things right now that is taking attention away from cryptocurrency. It's no longer the only place where people can go to make outsized returns, and some have even, let's be honest, last year, most people would have lost money if they'd been invested in a broad range of cryptocurrencies. Right now, for example, we've got AI, the AI meta, with all the AI stocks have done incredibly well. People focused on the AI narrative right now. Obviously, all these new AI companies that are demanding these incredible valuations, the likes of NVIDIA, etc. And also all these other companies are coming to IPO now. We've got SpaceX, you've got Anthropic, OpenAI. So this is taken away from all of the mind share for cryptocurrency. And so that's just the competition cryptocurrency is facing from a lot of these other narratives and other asset classes. We've also then got the idea that although mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency and the institutional side has taken place, I think that mainstream media has still been way more skeptical in terms of last year, even more so, given that a lot of what has taken place in the cryptocurrency retail side has been, unfortunately, a lot of large-scale fraud. If you look at the meme coins especially, particularly large presidential and public official meme coins that have been launched that rinsed quite a few people and got negative exposure in the headlines, so much so that it's reinforced people's opinions about cryptocurrency being scammy, etc., which is unfortunate because it's just meme coins and it's just particular individuals. I mean, even, I don't know if you saw today, but the ex-mayor of New York just launched a meme coin that rugged people, completely rugged them. So that, as long as that continues, why would people on the retail side still feel confident investing in cryptocurrency? I understand it's meme coins, but that is the narrative that the media wants to run with. And then I think finally, in terms of retail interest in the space, there was a large mismatch in terms of expectations versus reality last year. If you see with all of the hype around what prices for cryptocurrency Bitcoin could reach, in terms of the altcoins, especially this altcoin season narrative, everyone was hoping for that, focused on that. It's coming, don't worry. You've got the most pro-crypto president, you've got pro-crypto legislation, you've got massive liquidity coming in, and it never came. And it's only comes to, you can only keep banging that drum for so long before people start tuning out and not being interested in it anymore. And that's what I think we've seen happening.
I think the other day I was also talking to a friend and a thought came that in previous cycle, 2017, 2021, I think crypto was the new shiny tech innovation, and it was less about meme coins and gambling, but more about tech innovation. Right? Blockchain technology was considered futuristic. But then, since 2022 and 23, ChatGPT happened. Lots of generative AI tools came into mainstream attention. So I think they stole a bit of limelight from cryptocurrency. Now, people might be thinking that AI is the future. AI is the new shiny technological innovation. So, what do you think about it? Is it also like impacting the popularity of crypto investments?
Yeah, I think so, because right now, if you think about what demonstrably in terms of what AI is able to do and how it can change the society right now, in terms of it's already changed society in many ways, in terms of particular jobs are made more efficient. Some companies have been more efficient implementing AI in their systems, how AI is able to already change the world in many meaningful ways. And cryptocurrency was meant to be that, and it still is, from the perspective of freedom from financial strictures and giving people an out of the traditional financial system and blockchains and decentralized finance. But I think that unfortunately, it's the fact that, well, one, it comes back to the point I said around a lot of crypto has now been associated with scammy meme coins in the mainstream media. But also it's like, it is competing for that wow new technology meta, right? And it's harder for people to necessarily picture the future. Why cryptocurrency and, for example, a new layer one? Why is this such a transformative technology compared to a new AI model that can literally change the world in one particular way or the other, right? So I think that it's a lot easier for retail to latch on to the AI meta than it is onto cryptocurrency and decentralized finance and all that.
So, what sort of innovation, maybe creation of a dApp, a decentralized application that gets very mainstream? I already see it with Polymarket, etc., which are gaining popularity. But do you think crypto industry can tap into utility and compete with all those AI applications such as ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, etc.? Do you think there will be a breakthrough innovation in crypto industry and like everyone will also start talking about crypto once again?
Yeah, I think that that's a good point you make. We should definitely be focused more on applications than blockchains. And we don't need another layer one. We don't need another layer two. We don't need infrastructure per se. We need apps. And indeed, the breakout application and use case of this cycle has been, Polymarket, for example, right? And that is an app, right? And its valuation is much higher than I think the valuation of some of the underlying blockchains is built on. So I think we do need to focus more on apps and use cases and mass market use cases than just infrastructure. And there's just been too many of the infrastructure plays that have launched recently. In terms of what other, I think that what Polymarket has hit on is a strong product market fit for mass market retail and a crypto native product. So I think projects need to focus on that more. So if they want to really get growth for their product in this environment.
So in your opinion, what can be that utility? What can be the real problems that people are facing and crypto has the potential to solve that particular problem?
Well, I think that already there's a lot of problems it can solve in terms of finance and payments, right? And I think that we'll start to see a lot of this come to the fore as more positive crypto regulations are passed. For example, in terms of the stablecoin legislation, we saw Genius Act last year. It will still take some time to work its way through. We need to see Clarity Act passed in the US because that will then protect crypto developers and give more clarity around where crypto sits in terms of its regulatory position in the US. So that will give developers more scope to be able to build. But I think that already cryptocurrency, think about like trading, for example, we've also seen massive attention and growth of the perp dexes. I think any permissionless trading and permissionless perpetual exchanges have done quite well. I think one of the main pros of cryptocurrency is its permissionless, decentralized nature. So any product that we can allow users to get full control of their own experience and not have to rely on the traditional financial system could potentially see growth as a product that retail wants to get on board with.
I think going forward, like you talked about PopDex, but there might be a super trading app where people might be able to trade crypto, people might be able to trade stocks, then commodity, forex, etc. So there's a potential that there will be an app that will allow people to trade everything under like everything that's tradable, everything under the God's blue sky. So like Lighter and Hyperliquid might already be doing something similar. So do you think there's potential for lots of other players to emerge in that market? And like in general, what are your thoughts about the pub dex meta? Is it like already saturated, or does it have room for more players?
Good point you make. I think that there's a lot of also TradFi giants that are getting in, that are diving into the everything app and the everything trading app. Where you've got, for example, I think X is releasing something as well where people will just be able to trade within the X app itself. I think that's more like what the TradFi giants are going to try and do themselves, and then integrate all of these other, decentralized protocols and decentralized dexes into their apps. But I do think that, yes, the more you think about Phantom, for example, how user-friendly that wallet is and how many integrations it's got and how much growth it's seen, and it has also now integrated the perp dexes themselves. So I think that there is definitely a need for one centralized, one app of some description, everything app, everything trading app that brings it all together to one for retail to easily use. And then in terms of your question around the perp dex meta being slightly saturated, I think it is slowly getting there right now. We've seen now quite a few that have launched. Hyperliquid still maintains that first mover advantage in terms of its volume and its metrics. There's many people who seem to be bullish on Lighter as well in terms from a technology perspective. It's got its unique features as well and unique products and features. But we've also seen like the likes of last year when you saw the launch of Asta and a few of these others. And I think that they may have, although there was initial excitement after the launch, they've struggled to keep up the momentum as compared to some of these other perp dexes.
And like nowadays, what I'm like coming back to our previous topic about crypto content getting less visibility. So there's a lot of chatter on X currently that like it's particularly arising from Nikita Bear's tweet, and like people are making allegations that X is suppressing crypto content. So what are your opinion about it, and do you think like that there should be a native app for the crypto Twitter community, or like where crypto community can share their thoughts, and like the community can move away by relying too much on Twitter?
So I've been following the kerfuffle with regards to Nikita's comments and all that. So, I mean, on Twitter, a lot of crypto content let's be fair, has been spamming and AI slop over the past few months, especially as relates to Kaito points, etc. So that's not entirely incorrect. One thing I will state, though, as a user of Twitter regularly, and it's not just isolated to cryptocurrency content, is the fact that I feel that the feed has been messed around with and the algorithm is presenting information which I find irrelevant and I don't really have an interest in. It just seems to be a lot of rage bait. It seems to be a lot of geopolitics, generally more right-wing politics. And this is like, and I think that this is not really what I signed up for, in the sense that I wanted to get information on cryptocurrency or information on the people that I follow. So there is merit in terms of the anger some people in the cryptocurrency sector may feel to the fact that they basically, their content may not be getting the reach it was, but then more importantly, they've been presented information that they're not interested in. But I think it's also just more broadly, if it's suppression or if it's the lack of interest or the lower interest we have seen for crypto. I mean, you come back to the point around a lower retail interest for cryptocurrency that could also manifest itself in lower views, reach, and engagement for Twitter. So I think that's also been seen. As to whether there is an app that crypto users could gravitate towards to get them be their own community, I think there was Farcast till last year. Don't know what happened to that, unfortunately. I don't think it's managed to take off, more it's slowed down in terms of growth. But that was one of the places people could go. Unfortunately, apart from that, I don't know where else crypto users can go. Apart from maybe the weekly support group meetups where they can basically share some of their struggles, the crypto anonymous kind of support group they can set up with their local crypto bag holders.
There's been a lot of attempts in the past. I think there was also a Friends.app or something similar in 2023 that gained, FriendTech, that gained quite a traction, but then it cooled down. But I think we definitely need something that's not just that does not give a feed full of Grok photo edits. I mean, I clearly don't want those edits from Grok on my feed.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So this is the thing. It's like we don't come here for this kind of stuff, you know. And I think that if you want to find alpha, well, your Telegram, maybe Telegram could be good. There are good Telegram groups actually. Now that I mention it, I'm in a few of them, and there is alpha shared in these. But the problem is not too, unless they're fully open Telegram groups, there's not a lot of opportunity for full interaction. But at least you're not being presented algorithmic slop.
So, do you want to share 3 Telegram communities for our viewers where they can find real alpha, they can find real information? Of course, like I would like to pitch in. We also have our BeInCrypto community in Telegram. So, guys, please join it. But yeah, Nick, over to you.
BeInCrypto Telegram, the Coin Bureau Telegram, but then there's also the likes of, if you want breaking news and stuff, there's Unfolded, which I think is great. They get very quick news, especially when it comes to market moving stuff. There's also Infinity Hedge, which is another one. And then one of the others is more like an alpha group. It's Crypto Narratives by this chap called Victor. He's also on Twitter, but he's got a lot of good calls recently in terms of particular coins, and he gives a lot of good alpha.
So, see, lots of content in social media, right? Lots of content in Telegram, in Twitter. And how can someone filter out noise and like filter out all those shields, rug pull, etc., and then get real alpha? Like, what are your tips for our viewers?
I mean, I think if you're on Twitter explicitly, then you'd basically want to, or exclusively on Twitter, you'd want to basically try and focus on your For You instead of just, not the For You, on those you're following. So you're not being presented with algorithmic crap that is being suggested to you. Maybe some crypto that's just launched that maybe they've rigged the post such that you get presented it without actually being a coin from a reputable account. I think it's knowing who to following the right people, right? And making sure you're seeing these people's posts. So then maybe just going to the following instead of the For You, avoid the For You entirely. And then I think once it's there, a lot of these guys have their own unique Telegram channels, and you can go and follow them on Telegram as well, and then get their own insights that they're not sharing with the broader public as well. I think that's on those platforms there. I mean, I don't think there's many other social media platforms right now that can give you that amount of alpha apart from Telegram and Twitter still, even though they've had the kerfuffle on Twitter.
Thank you, Nick. And now, like moving on to get some insights about current market situation from you. I think stock market has remained near all-time highs, and it's creating new highs very frequently. Gold and silver are creating new highs very frequently. So what's happening with Bitcoin? I mean, we hit 126,000. Then we've been significantly down. Like at the start of the year, Bitcoin attempted to get back to 100K. I think it surged till 94 to 95,000, but then now we are back to 90,000 and 92,000 range. So what's going on with Bitcoin? Why is it down while entire market is up?
So I think there's a few factors. One of them is that they've had a massive distribution of supply last year in terms of large OG whales who held Bitcoin for many, many years. They had a large amount of coins they wanted to bring to the market to sell out. And that distribution of supply has basically just come to the market. And unfortunately, there wasn't as much demand to buy it. So when you have more supply than demand, you can have a fall in the price. Irrespective of the fact that Bitcoin was making new highs, it was going into a massive wall of supply that was suppressing the price. And then there was crypto-specific factors as well. We know, obviously, everyone talks about 1010 and what impact that had on the market. It completely wrecked many people in crypto, and obviously liquidations, the whole liquidation cascades, which completely wiped out a lot of altcoin traders as well. Also, people who hold Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's also used as an asset on balance sheets of market makers, and if they got hammered by it, they also had to sell Bitcoin separately to make up the losses potentially. So that's on the Bitcoin side. But on the metal side, why it's hitting, I think it's metals and stocks are other trades that have other catalysts that are not shared with Bitcoin. So in the gold and metal side, I think it's just a wide scale debasement trade and a large central bank accumulation. So debasement because of the fact that there's questions around inflation that's going to continue rising and the value of the dollar is going to continue falling. The central bank buy-in is driven by de-dollarization. So I think now we've got a big scare about questions of the dollar being weaponized by the US, and a lot of these sovereign nations are probably going to try and buy assets that can't be weaponized. So that's why there's been this massive accumulation by central banks, especially the PBOC, for gold. And then silver's a high beta player on gold, and that's why people have started to buy into it as well. There's also been unique supply issues in terms of silver that's traded on in the paper market versus the physical delivery. There's discrepancies between China and the UK or London prices, which has led to a unique series of events that led to the rally in silver. So that's metal side. On the stock side, we know that there's the hype around AI, and as we mentioned, it's a technology which I think has captivated more people than any other in recent memory. And you've also got these stocks come into the market, the IPOs. And then one more thing, like I said at the beginning, it's a zero-sum game to a degree. The crypto narrative, Bitcoin, is competing for mind share and capital from these other asset classes. Unfortunately, I feel as if it could be a situation where 2025's winners will continue to be 2026's winners, because momentum is a strong force in finance.
So, do you think liquidity will flow back to Bitcoin and crypto from the metal stocks or from metals itself? Do you think Bitcoin will eventually benefit and start rising?
I think it will. I think that Bitcoin still has more room to run again towards its all-time highs. That's just an ancillary benefit from more global liquidity coming into the market now, with the Fed cutting interest rates and with new QE being started and all that. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be a rotation. People think it's, we're going to move out of gold gains and we're going to go into Bitcoin. I think it's just going to be as ancillary benefits of additional liquidity. I think that's more on the Bitcoin side. I think alts will unfortunately continue to struggle, just because the narrative is not there for people to want to invest because of the competing narratives. So I think Bitcoin could rally towards its previous all-time high, possibly go above it again, but then fall back down, and then we go into the long bear market that many people are fearing.
So do you think there's still room for another all-time high this year?
I think there's still room for it, yeah. If we don't hit it by the end of the half year or end of Q2, then it's called into question. But I think there's still possibility, yeah, especially when I say the Fed is running things hard. They're going to run it hard because Trump is going to try and force the Fed to do what he wants.
Yet no alt season. I think lots of viewers will get disappointed by listening
alt season. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's just like the whole notion of alt season was predicated on the fact that you'd have rotation from Bitcoin into altcoins because people could invest in a higher beta plays on Bitcoin. But now there are so many other things they can invest in, right? And there's all these factors. And the sooner people can realize that, probably the best, because it allows them to adjust and invest in things that do have more potential in the cycle.
Or I think it's there are many alt cycles, but it's very difficult in the current cycle. I mean, you constantly need to switch from one narrative to other narrative. I think privacy coins today are doing really well, and after 2 to 3 days or maybe after a week, they might stop performing well, and liquidity might have moved on to some other narrative. So I think it's very difficult to navigate on what narratives to trade at a particular time.
Yeah, exactly. There have been localized alt rallies. I mean, I just saw Monero is above $700 now. What the hell? So probably it seems to be being this one that just gained a lot of traction. And then there was the Perptex Meta, and there was a few others that have just had these crazy rallies. But it's basically just the hot ball of crypto capital, crypto natives moving between different narratives. You can't really name an altcoin season by definition is when Bitcoin dominance collapses and all alts rally. So yeah, if you can time every single narrative and you can time every single coin within that narrative and you can sell at the top, then you could have made money. I mean, good luck doing that.
Yeah. Definitely you might have made money by catching SPX at the right time, bonk at the right time, fartcoin at the right time, and so on and on. But I think most of us miss doing that, right?
Exactly.
So yeah.
Well, if you get one, if you can get one, but if you're going to get all of them, right? It's easy to round trip gains.
Yep. That's so true. And people sometimes fall in love with their bags, and it's very difficult to exit them on the right time. So like considering the current geopolitical situation, I think it's getting more tense as we move ahead in 2026. I mean, the year started with the capture of Venezuelan president by United States, and then currently Polymarket odds are high that Iranian supreme leader might go out of the power soon. What do you see crypto market like? Where do you see crypto market going with such tense geopolitical scenario?
I think that crypto has demonstrated to be trading more like a risk-on asset. So if there's any massive geopolitical shakeup or concerns, then it's more likely to sell off than rally, just because that's what happens with risk assets in general. So if we do see some massive instability in the Middle East and the war progresses, or something like that, or indeed maybe like China invading Taiwan, one of these things that many people have been mentioning, that could lead to like a fall in risk assets, because that's more consequential than Iran or Venezuela. But I still think that crypto itself right now, the biggest risks to crypto remain of itself. So what's in the geopolitical realm won't really drive much of that. What I think that is interesting, though, that could be coming from specifically the Venezuela and Iran situation as it pertains to crypto, is, for example, rumors that Venezuela holds like $60 billion of Bitcoin. That's really interesting. So, okay, well, what happened to that? Is that going to go to the Bitcoin strategic reserve if they manage to seize that? And then also there are many questions. I think Iran has been using Bitcoin to fund its regime. So if are they going to seize that? What are they going to do with that? And more questions around what's going to happen to that Bitcoin, because if we can take that Bitcoin completely off the market and never sell it, that would be great.
Yeah, permanent supply locked in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So do you think like with such tense situation, do you foresee a World War III coming very soon? And like what will be the future of Bitcoin if there's hypothetically if there's a World War III?
I think World War III, the biggest concern for World War III, I think, is more US-China, and that relates to Taiwan-China. So I believe the China who says they want to be ready to take Taiwan by 2027. Whether they'll do that by 2027 or whether they'll wait, we'll have to see. But they want to take Taiwan. And then the question is, if they do take Taiwan, does the US get involved? And, that's also an open question. And that it's a lot more, China is a lot more of an adversary than Venezuela or Iran. And in that environment, like I said at the beginning, I think that crypto and Bitcoin has been trading more like a risk asset, a risk-on asset. So it could fall. Now, there is an interesting point here, counterpoint, is that, Bitcoin's correlation to stocks and to gold has varied throughout the years. Sometimes it trades as a risk-on, sometimes it trades as a risk-off. So it's not set in stone. So it's not, there's a possibility it could, like, initial reaction, like if you think back to COVID, and that when you had the COVID shock in 2020 and sold off much more than just equity, but then it rallied more back up than equity. And that's characteristic of a risk-off asset, right? So I think that it's still a unique idiosyncrasies with Bitcoin that may manifest themselves in any particular individual crisis. But it will be interesting to see. Also knowing that China is a big holder of Bitcoin. A lot of Chinese investors invest in Bitcoin, so that's unique dynamics there. But I think that's a big one to watch. It's probably the biggest concern for a geopolitical front is China, Taiwan, and US.
I think in catastrophic situation, Bitcoin's utility is very much like it increases significantly, right? Like for instance, if you have real estate and if you need to escape your town or something, or even your country, you cannot move that property, you cannot move your house, and fiat of your particular country might be very powerless if you move to, let's say, other country during World War III like situation. Gold might be too much to carry with you, like, right, because it has weight, it's heavy, and like, but with Bitcoin it's just that you carry your hardware wallet with which might just fit in your pocket, and then you might be able to utilize, like, since it's like a global currency, there's a very high probability that you might be able to utilize it anywhere in the world. So that might also push towards more demand for Bitcoin if there's ever a world war type situation God forbid, there should never be a war. There should always be peace. But I think that is one of the biggest utility during like tense geopolitical situations. So what are your thoughts?
That's a very good point. Bitcoin is also one of the assets you don't even need a hardware wallet. You can just store it in a brain wallet, right? You can literally, it's the only asset I know of in the world that you can literally just remember your seeds, words, and you basically can walk across a border with billions in your brain. That's mad. I think that in that environment, when most assets are going haywire and uncertainty around the future, to have a completely permissionless, decentralized currency that you can move without anyone's permission across borders is fascinating. And I think that is true. That's one thing that, and this is something that many people have had. It's not only something that is a theoretical. People have actually also done this. They've left countries, fled countries, moved across borders with their cryptocurrency wealth, and this is easy for them to do. Whereas trying to move it in any other type of asset is going to be near impossible.
Yep, indeed, totally. So, all right, Nick, it was a wonderful conversation. Thank you once again for joining BeInCrypto Podcasts. And I would like to have you once again and have another such wonderful recording session. But till then, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it, Harsh.